How do you grow the economy? Most agree on the ingredients: ideas and innovation, investment, infrastructure, and skilled individuals to deliver them. And everyone says we need more of it. But Britain has a growth problem. More than a decade of stagnation since the financial crisis, and the only G7 economy still smaller than before the pandemic. Changing economic course in a rapidly changing world may be the biggest challenge facing the nation. In the deep freeze could be the future of medicine. These are human cells grown to order in a lab outside Cambridge that's pushing the boundaries of biotech. Developing a platform for coding and creating human cells from scratch, with huge potential for research and treatment that could one day enable 3D printing of organs or restore the use of limbs to spinal injury victims.
What BitBio has created is a process by which we can recreate every human cell type.
BitBio is also a model for precisely the sort of growth the government says it wants. But with almost no available lab space in Cambridge, the UK's planning regime stands in the way.
They put a new building up and, the space is snapped up immediately. It's extremely competitive. We had to pull a lot of strings in order to get to this incredible, beautiful site that we are here at Babraham. There's constraints when it comes to, of course, infrastructure and support of infrastructure, whether it's manufacturing. Elsewhere, you would get governments that pay for your manufacturing infrastructure. I don't believe that's very common in the UK.
Cambridge and its twin Oxford are among the UK's growth success stories, sharing a global reputation for academic excellence and innovation and historic wealth and privilege. Making the most of these natural advantages should be an economic no-brainer.
Cambridge and Oxford, which is about 90 miles this way, are already engines of growth, and there is a plan to try and share that success, to better link it up with towns in between like Milton Keynes and Bedford, build a new railway line and plenty more homes. But there's a problem. Most of this land is green belt, and you don't have to drive very far before that grand economic vision bumps in to the local political reality.
This is South Cambridgeshire District Council, where nothing is more controversial than putting the new homes and workspace the economy needs in their constituents' backyard.
This is Cambridge. We're never industrialised. That's why we're special. That's why we're different.
Can Mr. Nick Burton let us know if he's in attendance? Thank you very much.
That plan, called the Oxford-Cambridge Arc, has been opposed every step of the way.
Would Councillor Smith also explain what development the proposed Oxford-Cambridgeshire partnership is seeking to deliver, if not the excessive housing her local plan proposes?
So not providing enough homes to meet the needs of the workforce has serious consequences. We already have greatly inflated rents, greatly inflated house prices, so we don't want to force people to live elsewhere.
Councillor Daniel Lentil is among those who think the Arc, billed as a British Silicon Valley, is more about property than national prosperity.
You cannot put a California-sized biohub on an East Anglian market town without doing a bucket load of damage. The point is not no growth, the point is good growth. And you can't get good growth if you're not working with people, with place, instead of trying to concrete over the slightest concern that we don't have enough water here.
The opposition has already bulldozed a target of 1 million new homes and plans for a new road, and is now focused on East-West Rail, which will link Oxford and Cambridge using existing and restored lines and new track across the Bedfordshire Greenbelt.
This is the sort of low-density sprawling stuff that they want to do across the Arc and so on. And then behind, in the green field you can just see before the trees, that's where the two routes for East-West Rail will go There's no such economic reality as the Arc. There's a successful university cluster in Oxford and there's another one in Cambridge. The piece in between is 90 miles, that's 3 times as long as Silicon Valley. It's the best and most profitable place to build houses in this country.
By the end of the decade, East West Rail should arrive here. Cambridge's biomedical campus. The Arc's advocates say it's crucial to provide homes and transport for future expansion and maximise growth beyond the university towns.
We know that there's strong evidence that connecting your clusters is generally a good thing. So we have world-leading global capability in both Oxford and Cambridge, and we also have some clusters within the rest of the Arc. We have a space sector, we have a motorsport sector. We know that joining those up will create better opportunities for collaboration. It provides a wider area from which to draw skills. Every job created in Oxford or Cambridge creates more jobs outside of the area as well.
All this is intended to encourage investment, but domestic capital may be missing out on innovation happening under its nose. BitBio has already raised $200 million, but just $175,000 of that was British money.
The funding environment in the UK is extremely good at creating startups, but it's not very good to support scale-ups, and especially it's not geared towards creating large companies, which I believe that's what the UK requires also for their economic growth. Most of our capital, actually all of our capital apart from the initial pre-seed funding, is from external, so mainly US capital, some overseas capital, also from Asia.
So there's a tiny amount of UK money.
Less than 1%.
In a global race to attract investment, this should be the easy bit.
If the UK is going to be a global leader in the knowledge economies of the future, it won't do it without Cambridge or Oxford or London. Perhaps a bigger challenge, though, is trying to take what works here and replicate it in parts of the country that have been left behind.
A 200-mile drive north to Rochdale is a 3-hour journey across the Gulf that opened when Britain's cities deindustrialised. Cotton and canals made this a 19th century boomtown. But today, productivity lags behind the national average. So does disposable income and GDP per head. And male healthy life expectancy is 10 years lower than in Cambridge. Closing these gaps is a social imperative and a huge economic opportunity. Places like this might be part of the answer. This is or will be Atom Valley, an industrial development to attract advanced manufacturing and material science back to Greater Manchester, backed by the Mayor, Andy Burnham.
You look at Manchester city centre now, you look at the skyline, that tells a story about the potential of this place of ours. It's not too big a statement to say, we could lead the reindustrialisation of the north of England as we move towards a net zero society. We led the way before. Why can't the north of England lead the way again?
Businesses like CR Solutions are already doing highly specialised work, building bespoke robotic production lines for everything from medicines to aircraft. What they need most of all is people with the skills to help them grow.
Do you struggle to recruit the people you need?
Yeah, immensely, yeah. So much so that we decided to go with the more organic route and grow our own engineers through apprenticeships and degree apprenticeships.
Because you could hire people right now, you would have the capacity to find them, is
absolutely.
that right?
We can hire designers, fitters, we can hire a range of vocational and non-vocational skill sets, through mechanics, software, right through the whole gamut.
Be on time, English and maths, yeah? We've got this coal, haven't we?
The production line for workers starts here.
See you later. We've got some great employers, but it is warehousing and logistics.
Julia Heap has lived in Rochdale all her life. As principal of Hopwood Hall College, she wants to transform the town by developing the skilled workforce required to attract investors.
We want to build relationships with employers at a really early point. We want to look at them, if they're coming new into the borough, look at what their skills needs will be, look at what the roles will be. They can come and talk to our students, come and talk to our staff, and we can shape a
So you shape what
curriculum,
you do
shape the
for
curriculum
what they
with
need.
them. Yeah, absolutely.
60% of the students at Hopwood Hall come from deprived postcodes. High-skilled, high-paid jobs could change that. And there's plenty of ambition.
My main goal is to eventually learn how to weld and electronics as well, but to also have my own engineering firm.
You know, growing up watching Formula One, having that goal in being in the Formula industry.
When I get really weird and artistic about it, it's almost like a sculptor sculpting their own creation.
I've been looking around for apprenticeships closer to home, and it's like Manchester and stuff. So if they are closer to home, like Rochdale, it would be amazing.
Take it anywhere really. You know, you get your experience behind you, stick out for your apprenticeship, get your qualifications. You can go abroad, you can just look for better opportunities in this country. The skills are all transferable as well across different fields of engineering, so you could go anywhere with it.
Do you think you can fulfil your ambitions round here?
Oh yeah, 100%. Born in the right place at the right time, I suppose.
The traces of the industrial past, when the Northwest led the world, aren't hard to find. But the canals are a reminder that technology moves fast and economies need to keep up.
There's no question the UK faces a chronic growth and productivity problem, but it is hugely uneven between London and the South East and everywhere else. And changing that really matters, not just to individual prosperity, but to the public finances and sustaining public services. There is huge potential to do more, but it needs the right incentives, the right support and political will.
Britain hasn't got one growth problem, it's got several. And they need their own solutions. Our second cities need to realise their potential.
A new devolution deal that covers the powers to create a London-style public transport system, the powers to create the UK's first integrated technical education system. Free us up is the message, I guess. Free us up. We can be more than we currently are.
In a competitive global economy, business needs to know what investing here means.
It's about stability and certainty. Is corporation tax going to go up for the next 10 years, or do you have a plan to bring it back down?
And people, the UK's prize assets, need the tools and opportunities to thrive.
I want more money in the budget for further education. You know, we were funded fairly. We could invest in our staff in terms of training, retention.
These are complex issues and tough choices. If fixing growth was easy, we'd have done it by now. But Britain can ill afford another generation of stagnation.